Well, we're back here again at the Valemount Industrial Park on the site of the Village Greens project. It's been 3 months, guys, since we've been here, since you installed this beautiful growing container. And it's coming up to an auspicious occasion, your first harvest. How are things going?
Things are going well right now. We're going to be doing our first harvest on Friday, 2 days from now. And yeah, so things have been progressing very well.
Great. And so it's been a little longer than we had talked about. I think the first time you said you were going to have your first crop off about the third week of July, and so we're in the third week of August. And I understand something happened that was totally unexpected to push you back a little bit. What happened?
Our HVAC unit broke down, so we had a setback there, and it had to get repaired, and that shut us down, and we had to get everything out and sanitize and everything, and then we had to restart. So that was the delay. That was a pretty big delay.
And of course, it happened during the heat wave, the heat dome. So yeah, it was pretty toasty in there, and then we had another minor setback with another piece of equipment. It's just growing pains, but everything's been fixed and improved, and we're ready to go now. So.
Well, that's great. You know, I was talking with you, Mike, earlier, and it's good that these things happen at the beginning, because you learn a lot more from your mistakes and from other things that happen than you ever would by just going along with everything running perfectly, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And I've learned so much more than I probably would have learned. Some stuff I probably wouldn't have learned for a considerable amount of time. So it's been good that way. I have learned a lot, and I know the unit pretty well now. So.
And so your first crop is coming off, as you said, probably on Friday. So where is that crop going to go? What are you going to do with this first inaugural crop? From what I understand is now a farm. This is what they refer to it. It's not a growing container. It is a growing container, but more the company calls it a farm. So this is the first farm.
A container farm, I guess. Yeah. And
yeah.
So sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Well, the first crop is going to go to restaurants here in town for samples, and hopefully we can get them to commit after that to supply them. And there'll be some samples at the farmers market, and we'll also be giving some away from this first crop. So this first crop is going to be mostly about marketing.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of the restaurants, I without specifically talking about what types of restaurants, you have had an interest from a number of restaurants in town. Is that right?
Yes, I have. Some of the restaurants in town are anxious to have local suppliers, and for various reasons. So yeah, they've been very interested. Some more than others, but yeah, so there's been a good interest in them.
And then we're hoping as well that once we get the samples out to the restaurants, we may be giving them some things that they may not have on their menu, and hopefully it'll maybe spark some interest in trying some new things and then we can grow custom products for the restaurants that want to have some unique items on their menu. So yeah, we're excited to get that first crop out and just introduce the product. The shelf life should be a little bit longer too than the stuff that's coming off the truck, because it's been grown right here. Mm-hmm. So. And
for those restaurants who may be interested or haven't really thought about it, this is a good opportunity for them to learn a little bit more about it. Cost-wise, how is it going to compare with their regular suppliers for restaurant for food supplies?
It depends on the what we're selling. Some of the items are smaller than the items that restaurants receive right now, but on the other hand, there'll be a lot less waste, and they'll be a lot fresher, and so they'll last longer. So it kind of varies by item, how the pricing's going to go. So
yeah, but we're hoping that they're going to see the value in the freshness, and yeah, they're not going to have as much waste. Hopefully, they won't have any waste. So
right. Yeah. And will they be able to kind of get involved in somewhat of the subscription program that you're offering to regular households?
The subscription program, so that is going to be more designed for the households and for individuals who are interested in getting some regular produce weekly. We're calling that the green bag program, and so everyone will get one of these lovely green bags. Actually, they get two, and they'll be exchanging them out. We'll fill them up with produce every week, and then they come and they pick them up, and then there will be a sort of a set price for that for an ongoing program. And that's mostly going to be running during the non-growing months, so when there isn't a farmer's market or people growing their own veggies. As far as the restaurants getting involved in the subscription program, the restaurants will be more like, they'll put in their order and it'll be a lot more than what fits into a little green bag for them. So I guess they'll have their own custom subscription program, if you will. They'll put in their order and then we will just meet that order. So.
Fantastic. Now, I don't want to get into the technical side of it. Mike is going to take me through the inside in a minute. I'll ask my questions there, but I do want to clear something up because I said to Mike earlier when we were talking that that's organic, and it's not really organic to me. Personally, it's better than organic, but organic is a label that's applied, and there are certain conditions that need to be met. So, can you tell us why it's not organic and why people like me might say it's better than organic?
It's not organic mostly because there's no soil involved. It's strictly hydroponic, which is grown in water. So that is the main reason, from what I understand, to be labeled organic. It has to have soil, and it's how you treat the soil. But
we definitely, there are no pesticides or herbicides. And there's no pests in the container. So it is a very controlled environment, and the nutrients that are used in the water are very similar to what you would have in organic fertilizer as well.
The nutrients are actually organic.
But it technically cannot be called organic because it's not grown in the soil. So there's no exposure to the elements as organics would be. So maybe that's why you think it's better. I'm not really sure.
Absolutely. Take the dirt out of the equation and you got it great.
No
well, that's
dirt,
great.
No bugs.
Is there anything that you want people to know that I haven't mentioned or that I haven't asked you about anything, about the growing process, about the buying process, about how it's all going to work?
Well, we will be at the farmers market with some subscription forms in the very near future. So if people are interested, they can find us there, or they can call the Valemount Learning Center 250-566-4601 if they would like to inquire about this subscription program. We also have our website that they can go to for more information about the subscription program if that's what they're interested in. As far as the way that we were able to get to this point, we started, I think almost 3 years ago planning, and we are a nonprofit. So the idea behind this is we just want to get self-sustaining. So the idea of food security is that we're going to be providing food for our community. And yes, there is a cost to purchase that food, but it's also not free for us to produce the food. So it's going to, at this point, just be we're looking at a break-even analysis right now. And then if we end up making a little bit of money, then we can expand on these operations or expand on some of the other offerings that the Valemount Learning Center provides. So it's none of us are getting rich by any stretch of the imagination on doing this project. We also received funding for the program from Northern Development Initiative Trust, and from the Investment Readiness Program, which is through Community Futures, and also the Regional District of Fraser Fort George. So they were all very generous in helping us with some funding for this. We also have had a ton of support from the Valemount Industrial Park and Valemount Community Forest. So, and then lots of contractors as well that have helped us get to this point. So, yeah.
You bring up a really interesting point that I don't think anybody's mentioned, and it just occurred to me. I think this may be the first example of enterprise nonprofit organization here in Valemount. How do you think this is going to impact? Do you think this will be kind of an inspiration for others to look to that model of enterprise nonprofit and the way that funding can help an organization be self-sustaining?
it would be wonderful if that model could take off in other areas. You know, an enterprising nonprofit really is. I mean, you could look at lots of different nonprofits that are maybe doing similar things, but it may not necessarily look like an enterprising nonprofit. But as long as you're, you know, if you're generating revenue and then putting that revenue back into the organization and hopefully to improve programming for the community, then essentially that is very much the model of enterprising nonprofits. So.
Well, enough talking. Let's get in there and take a look at this luscious first crop.
All right.
Okay, take it away, Mike.
Okay, Mike, so we're inside the growing container. Why don't you walk us through, what is this area here?
So this is our seedling area. It holds 8 trays, which consist of 200 seedlings capacity. So these are seedlings from 2 weeks ago, which will be transplanted tomorrow, which will then leave room for 4 more trays to seed tomorrow also.
Okay, all right, then moving along. So these long containers, what do you call these?
These are called runways or racks, as you will,
Okay.
but we call them runways basically. So if we continue down to the back here, this is the very first seedlings, which will be harvested on Friday, 2 days from now.
Wow.
So we have bok choy on the bottom, kale, butter crunch lettuce, arugula on the top, and then coming back down here we have what's called Rex butterhead. We have wildfire lettuce, and this is still butter crunch. This is spinach up here.
Okay.
And then we have cilantro, and then parsley, and then basil over there.
Okay, wow.
And then we have romaine lettuce here, and then Rex butterhead lettuce on the bottom. So that'll all be part of the first crop.
Okay, and so how long did it take to get to this point? When did you plant these?
These will be 6 weeks old on Friday, and that's when we'll harvest them.
And how many plants are, what do you call the harvest once it's, how many heads or how many units are here
So
ready to harvest?
each raft holds 36 heads, and then the rafts that carry the herbs are 72. So this entire first crop will be roughly, because there's some empty spots on the rafts and everything, this first harvest will be roughly 470 pieces.
Wow.
So
Okay, and so let me ask you, how does this work? I mean, obviously it's different. Most people used to planting in soil. Can you go through the process? How does it, from those seedlings that we saw, how does it get to here?
So before everything happens, we fill the main tanks, add our nutrients, and then we take them from the seedling area and transplant them into the rafts, and then set the rafts into the water. And the water's constantly moving and cycling throughout this whole system, independently on each side. But yeah, the water circulates and moves through the whole system, and it carries the nutrients the plants need.
Okay.
Yeah, so each week we transplant. Now we've got to this point, it'll be an ongoing cycle. Every single week we will transplant, and then we will seed, and from starting Friday, every week we will harvest.
Okay,
And
wow.
so it'll be a constant cycle.
Constant
going through.
cycle. And I think I asked you this off camera, but I want to ask you this while we're here together. So the reason you can only have leafy types of lettuce and other things is?
Well, we can't grow anything like bulb-based or anything like potatoes, but it's just the way the root system goes for the water.
Right.
So
very, very
there
shallow
are
root.
some things we can grow that are difficult, like apparently you can feasibly grow something like a strawberry or a tomato, but at this point it's still kind of experimental in the research department at the grocer. So the leafy greens are the most successful grown, and so for speed, and like they grow fast too, as you can see. So
Yeah. Well, this is fantastic, Mike, and you must be very proud to have put this, gotten it to this point. Let's put it that way. I know it's
Yeah,
been a big
well,
team effort.
it has been a big team effort. Riette is the one that really deserves the credit. She's been kind of working on this for a long time, and I just kind of came along and happened to be the guy to operate it. But I am proud. I'm proud of the whole thing, the community, that we're going to be able to support the community. And we also have a volunteer who comes in and works with me too. Named Jessie. And so she's been a huge help to me too. So I definitely want to give her credit for a lot of the work in here too.
Well, that's great. And one last time for a plug. So if people want more information about what you're doing here, what should they do?
They can contact either Riette or myself at the Valemount Learning Center, 566-4601. And you can see us at the farmers market also.
Right.
So
every
week.
Thursday until September.
Till the end of September.
End of
Yep.
September, right.
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, Mike. Congratulations, and we look forward to enjoying your produce.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for coming today, Michael.